At the time, I'm not able to determine that. We have to put an ECG monitor on.
Okay. But you were advised that there was no shock advised, is that right?
Correct.
So did you observe any injuries at that point?
I did see either an entrance or exit wound on the right side of the patient's body, a gunshot wound.
And did you see injuries consistent with death?
Those injuries could be consistent with death, yes.
But when you approached and you saw these conditions, what did you direct? Well, let me stop there. Were there other paramedics who also arrived on scene shortly after you?
Yes.
Did you give them some direction?
So I initially directed the police to continue compressions until the paramedics could get there and do a more thorough assessment. When the paramedics behind me arrived, I told them that I could not feel a pulse, that the AED had not recommended delivering electricity, and that I had told the police to continue doing compressions.
Did you then hand over the paramedic side of things to the team that had arrived?
Correct.
And who were those individuals?
Dustin Johnson and Chelsea Corder.
And what did you do at that point when you sort of transferred management of the patient to these other two?
So my job at that point is to determine how many patients we have at the scene, what the extent of injuries are, determine if we need any more resources.
Were you able to did you get any more information at that point?
I did have difficulty initially trying to figure out exactly how many patients we are, what the nature of their injuries are, and what the extent of those injuries were.
So at that point, were you still looking for more patients?
Correct.
After you handed off the, primary care role of the patient who was receiving CPR to your other paramedics, did they consult with you about what they were doing and what to do with respect to that patient?
I don't believe that they consulted with me until the very last conversation that we had before we had ceased resuscitations.
Okay, and maybe you could tell the jury when we talk about what that last conversation was there a conversation that you had with these individuals about declaring death of that patient?
Yes.
And was that patient later identified to you as Dante Wright?
Yes.
So in terms of declaring the death of Dante Wright, was that done at approximately 2:18 p.m.?
That was the estimate that I arrived at, yes.
And tell the jury about how and why it was that you came to conclude that you would be able to declare Mr. Wright dead.
So our protocols, written by our medical directors, are derived from evidence-based practice. And in the case of traumatic cardiac arrest, so car accidents, shootings, stabbings, when we arrive on a scene and an individual does not have a pulse, the likelihood of resuscitating those patients are very, very low. So our protocols do give us the option of ceasing resuscitation if we arrive on the scene and the patient does not have a pulse and no shockable rhythm.
And were those the conditions that you observed and your team worked on with respect to Mr. Wright that day?
Yes.
And so when you declared Mr. Wright dead at approximately 2:18 p.m., did that just mean that you decided to stop working on him at that point, meaning stop performing the efforts that you were?
Correct.
Does that mean anything about the time his heart actually stopped beating or the time he actually passed away?
That's correct. It does not have any relation to when his heart actually stopped beating.
And after you declared Mr. Wright dead, did you continue to direct other paramedics to do further work at the scene?
Different paramedics than Dustin and Chelsea?
Were there other rigs that arrived?
Yes.
And how many rigs in total, if you recall, arrived on that scene?
3, I believe.
So you indicated that Dustin Johnson and Chelsea Corder had been working on Mr. Wright. Did you direct an additional rig or additional set of paramedics to attend to occupants of another vehicle?
Yes.
And did they do that?
They did.
And at some point, did you direct Dustin Johnson to another individual who had been an occupant of a vehicle?
Yes.
And it was Dustin Johnson who was responsible for rendering care in that situation.
Both of them are responsible for rendering care, but I believe he was the initial one giving care to that person.
And he would have then worked with his partner, Chelsea Quarter, is that right?
Correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Lane Cross.
We have no question.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Ron, could we make another record?
Just a second. All right, members of the jury, we're going to take another 15-minute break, okay? So I know it's getting to be a long day and it's near the end of the week, so 15 minutes.
They sure take a lot of breaks. Just trying to make some coffee, but you know, always on duty. It's 61 degrees where you are, Bill. I wish it was 61 here. It's freezing outside. Hopefully the live stream will flow a little smoother. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it just buffered out like that a little while ago. Seems to be better so far.
Appearance in chamber.
Hydrodynamic? No, I didn't wash my hands. No. I was trying to make coffee, but I heard the judge talking, so I came back. Yeah, Spoffy, it's all that tea she's on. Yeah. Wade, it's 81 in Texas. Does Texas got like a dry heat, or does it get humid in Texas? MT Coiner, it's finally getting cold there. You're normally ice fishing by now. I don't think our lakes are frozen here. Well, no, I don't think they're frozen at all here because we've only had snow for like a week. Maina, I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds inappropriate. I don't know. For the most part, Texas is dry heat. I've never experienced dry heat. Here in Michigan, we get, well, at least along the lake, you get really bad humidity. Feel like you can't breathe. Walk around like you're underwater. Gang of 4, it's only 9 degrees there. What are you, in Canada? I'm not sure what the temp is in Canada. It's usually colder than it is here. Yorka, you're about to go ice fishing? That's cool. I've been ice fishing. Oh, now that's buffering. Now I'm not buffering, they're buffering. Alright, well. Fuck you, YouTube, you piece of shit. Nah, you'll be alright, Maina. You'll be alright. Well, I'm gonna try and refresh this, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why they're buffering. What'd they do? They must have said something wrong. Now I'm watching my bit rate drop. We're all going under.
Enlisted is the free brand new online world.
What's up, Indigo? I think it was buffering because of their commercials. It buffered earlier like that. Had to. Oh, now it's doing it again. God, You guys don't want another commercial out of me, do you? What a weird day. Do you see this? I don't know why it's buffering like that. We'll check it in 10 minutes. Just give it a moment. Maybe I should pause it. It's gonna suck the life out of my internet. Hydrodynamic. You think they're going to come back and then quit? They might. They might. It would not be the first time that we've seen that. Joshua, is sidebar an actual bar? It's like a side chick. You know, it's not the main course. It's just a little something you keep next to your nightstand. Pretty sure that's what it is. Do you guys know if Kim Potter is actually in the room? I think they were going to ask one of the witnesses that, but they didn't get a chance to answer. I think it was objected to. Jesse, if the glove don't fit, pretty sure that doesn't apply here. We watched that glove fit right there on camera. Sarah, I think she is going to take the stand. I'm pretty sure I heard that she was going to take the stand. I mean, we won't know until it comes down to it, but I'm pretty sure she's going to. Who is Juicy? What is that about? Winston Smith, I wonder if she can opt to not be on camera. I don't think so. I mean, maybe she could try, but I don't know what kind of reasoning she would have to get that passed through. Oh, I see. No, I don't know anything about that case. Judge Juicy. Is that what you call her? Judge Juicy Fruit. I don't know. She's something. What do you think her OnlyFans name is? Doctor time. Yeah, I think that would probably be the best part of the trial if Kim Potter actually took the stand. Because right now it's dry. It is real dry. Well, we should think of a poll because we only got a little less than about an hour, but I doubt it's going to last a whole hour. Bailey, they're doing a split screen of what? What's on the other screen? If you smelt it, you dealt it. Bill, are you guys sniffing each other's farts in the chat? What is going on here? You guys are all over the place.
Dancer Prancer. Go.
Joe Bosch. No, I shut it down. I mean, YouTube is probably going to go down anyways because of what the numbers were looking like, but no, I actually shut it down. I don't know what's going on with Twitch. Maybe it's because we've been live for a few minutes. I feel like we haven't had more than 10 people on Twitch all day. I don't know if people just don't care about this trial or what. We actually have more people show up to watch Jem Balsacki than we have this trial. All right, Sarah, I'll check it out. Yeah, I don't know. Twitch is just being weird. It's a weird couple days. Actually, no, I want to say yesterday we had like 50 people in there. Hey, thanks, Chase, for hosting on Twitch. I appreciate you. Just because. Bailey, hopefully there'll be an Alec Baldwin trial. I don't know, he's super famous. I don't know if he'll go to trial. I'm pretty sure, isn't he free right now? He's like the only person I know that shot and killed somebody and just like never went to jail. Hydrodynamic, a poll whether to quit or continue. I can't tell if people aren't watching because they don't know about the trial or they don't care about the trial, or if it's because we've been having weird issues with lagging and whatever else is happening. Thank you so much, Ignorance Evolving, for joining the membership program, and welcome to the family. You're officially a hooligan. Burgermeister Alec is too handsome for jail. I don't think so. He'd probably be in there not even 30 days. He'd have face tats and a new girly boyfriend. Or he'd be someone's new girly boyfriend. You never know. You never know. They'd show him a good time in there. Yeah, Betsy. Yeah, this trial is not like the Kyle trial. I kind of want to say the same thing about the George Floyd trial, though. I covered the George Floyd trial, and it was like nobody showed up. Nobody wanted to watch it. And there was all kinds of characters on there. It wasn't until like after it was over that people were asking about it. We'll see how this goes. If this ends up with protesting and crying in the streets, people will wish they watched it, but I don't really think that's going to happen. I think the cops going to do time. The protesters will be happy about it. They might do like some rallies or something in honor of Dante Wright, but I don't think there's going to be any rioting or anything like that. Yeah, Betsy, every time I see someone say that, that's me. And it just makes me think of the George Floyd trial. It's weird. It's weird all the stuff we know from doing these lives. Baldwin went after a reporter with an umbrella yesterday. He better chill out. It's showing that aggression. People will think he shot her on purpose. You're a bum, bro. I know. We could have had like an action figure from the George Floyd trial. There were so many catchphrases that came off of it. Should have made a bunch of t-shirts with all the catchphrases. I need someone to like help me out with the graphics and stuff with the t-shirts. I did have someone that was helping me, but they dipped out. I think I need to find someone else to do it. I don't have time. I just don't have time to create graphics and stuff. I'd have to learn how to do it and whatever. I'm sure I'm capable. I just don't have the time. I'd rather give that job to somebody that's already knowledgeable in making graphics. Now, MT Coiner, I'm not going to Fiverr. To hell with that. Trust those goofy people with images I'm putting on t-shirts. God only knows. They'd probably try and lay claim on it. Fish choker socks for Christmas. Heck yeah. You're a bum, bro. They played that clip every day of the trial. That guy was super famous. Old fish choker. Yeah, I appreciate you, Indigo. What's up, Dion? Warrior Express was just live. That's cool. I see they've been doing like nightly updates where they kind of cover what the news was for the day. It's a good idea. Gang of Four. Baldwin is a hothead. He just needs to get straightened out. I think it happens. People get a little bit ahead of themselves. They just, they got to hit that brick wall. Get acclimated to the world. It happens. challenge Baldwin to a duel, you better be careful. He'll hit you and then say it's an accident. They ain't coming back. You guys are killing me. Baldwin should become a cop. You stop it.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. We're ready for the jury.
Did the judge change her mask? Didn't she have a gray mask on earlier? She's doing it according to style. The prosecutor over there with the yellow mask. It's a "don't tread on me" mask. I don't even think that would make sense. I don't know. It seems contradictory to me, but yeah, my opinion.
Seated.
Empty corner. She's got 5 masks on. Yeah.
The state may call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Dustin Johnson.
Okay, please come forward. And would you please stand behind the witness chair?
I don't know. I would feel like she was talking down to me, I think, if she was giving me orders, telling me what to do. With that soft voice, I'd be like, are you patronizing me? Are you talking down to me? Like I'm a child.
And would you please remove your mask? State your full name and spell it.
Dustin Johnson, Dustin John Son.
Couple of things to keep in mind when you're testifying. The court reporter is taking down everything that's being said. So please answer with a yes or a no instead of shaking your head. Don't say uh-huh or uh-uh. If you don't understand a question, let the lawyer know and it'll be clarified. If an objection is made, stop talking immediately. Don't answer unless I tell you to. And don't talk at the same time. So wait until the question's finished before you start answering.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Counsel?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Where do you work, Mr. Johnson?
I'm a paramedic with North Memorial Ambulance.
And do you also have experience as an Army medic as well?
Yes, I do.
What's that experience?
I was a combat medic since 2007 to 2019
And how long have you been with North Memorial?
for 9 years.
Do you have any licenses or certifications that are required of you in terms of being a paramedic?
Yes, I carry 2 licenses, for this one for the state and one for National Registry as a paramedic.
And are you up to date with all of those requirements?
Yes, I am.
Could you describe your duties as a paramedic for the jury, please?
My duties are to respond to 911 calls in our service area, which is in Hennepin County, and treat any injuries, medical needs, whatever they may be, in the ambulance or on the scene, and then transport to the hospital for the sick and injured or wounded.
I'm going to direct your attention to April 11th of this year. Were you working as a paramedic with North Memorial on that date?
Yes, I was.
And did you respond to a call on that date?
Yes, I did.
What information did you have, or what was the nature of that call?
So we and my partner, we were sitting at a quarters, which is a fire station, waiting for a call. Call came out that there was a shooting, possible multiple victims, somewhere in the area 63rd and Brooklyn Center. We immediately responded, getting in our truck, and we went to a tactical channel with our EMS command so that we can relay where we were supposed to post until it was safe to approach the area.
And you said we and referred to your partner. Who's your partner?
My partner is Chelsea Corder.
Did you respond to that location in Brooklyn Center with your partner?
Yes, it did.
And who was driving?
I was driving.
What did you observe when you arrived in that area that you were dispatched to?
We pulled up through the east side of 63rd, going around from the freeway. That was what we were instructed over our radio. Arrived on scene, saw my EMS command vehicle in the front, which was being driven by Mike Warlock. He was relaying to us to back up as we started seeing officers with long rifles that the scene may have not been code for or safe for us to enter.
At some point, did you get the all clear? Did you get that code 4 to proceed?
Yes, I got waved in by my supervisor, EMS command, Mike Warlock.
So after Mike Morlock waved you in, what did you do and what did you see?
We drove the ambulance a little bit closer to the scene. When we get out of our vehicles, I was on the driver's side. I saw a white vehicle, four-door sedan with some damage to it. Saw multiple police officers over a patient conducting CPR.
And what did you do at that point?
I immediately parked the vehicle, got out, and started grabbing our equipment that we would use for a cardiac arrest, airway kit, Lucas device, monitor, first in bag, and started getting that equipment ready on the stretcher to go move over to the patient.
Did you bring all that stuff over to the patient?
Yes, we did.
Did your partner, Chelsea Corder, also approach?
Yes, she kind of assisted with grabbing the equipment as well. She was first up on to the patient. I was a little bit second.
And when you came upon the patient, what did you observe?
Like I said before, I saw multiple police officers doing CPR, one controlling an AED, another one breathing for the patient with a bag valve mask airway device.
I guess I should be more specific. What did you do in terms of your involvement as a paramedic in that process?
I started getting equipment set up to run a possible cardiac arrest and just kind of overviewed the patient to see what condition they were in, looking for color and what the injuries were on that patient.
And did you observe those injuries?
Yes, it did.
What did you observe?
It appeared that the patient had an injury to his chest. There was chest seals placed, I assume, by the officers prior to our arrival, and it appeared that he had penetrating chest trauma.
Did you also observe some tracheal deviation?
Yes, I did.
And could you describe for the jury what that is and what that means?
It's a part in the throat where it starts to shift to one or the other direction depending on if there's either a tension pneumothorax or a blood hemothorax that can cause that tracheal deviation. It's a sign that we look for in EMS.
So you used the words hemothorax. You said it's a sign you look for. Maybe you can explain sort of what those things are and what that indicates to you.
Pneumothorax is more, there's a penetrating chest trauma to the lung area in the lung cavity, but not necessarily has penetrated the lung, and it causes air to be what's called a sucking chest wound that would cause that lung to start collapsing and allow it not to inflate. The hemothorax could be potentially both, where there's blood and air compressing down on that lung.
So when you see this tracheal deviation, what does that indicate to you in terms of your assessment of the patient's condition?
As a clinician, it typically is where that patient has a late sign of that injury, and that's usually showing up late after an injury has occurred.
And when you say late, maybe we can back up for a second. Did you check pulses, or were you involved in checking pulses on the patient?
I think I was checking pulses as well as my partner was checking pulses, and I think we had asked the officers when we had stopped CPR at a couple of points to check for pulses to see if there was any life in the patient.
Did you or anyone else ever detect any pulses?
I did not, and from what I understand, they did not as well.
And you described some equipment that you brought over. Tell the jury maybe whether that equipment was, your equipment was ever fully utilized.
They had an AED on site that did not indicate any shocks from what we were told by the officers. So we hook up our device that has pads and also 4 leads to confirm any type of rhythms that we would see on the patient. It's a Zoll. That's the name of the company that makes our device.
So did you hook up the Zoll?
Yes, we did.
And did you see any shockable rhythms with your machinery?
We did not.
And what happened after that?
EMS command came over and was basically explaining to us that we don't know how many patients we have. He's going to review and see if we can get more information to see if there's other patients. And we were going to move on to the next patient.
So was this individual that you were working on, was he later identified to you by name?
Later on at the hospital, I found out who the individual was that we were working on, yes.
And what was his name?
Dante Wright.
So when you were working on Dante Wright and having this conversation afterward with your command supervisor, was there a decision made about his condition?
Yeah, we both discussed, and also my partner Chelsea discussed, that we have no shockable rhythm. We have not found any pulses. With penetrating chest trauma, significant massive trauma to the body, that we were going to call it.
And when you say call it, tell the jury what that means.
We're going to suspend any continuous CPR or any other life-saving measures.
And what was your reason for that?
The penetrating chest trauma and the fact that we weren't able to find a shockable rhythm, and we had not been able to obtain any type of a pulse.
So after it was called, or after you as a group decided to call it, what did you do next?
We covered up Mr. Wright, and we started collecting our equipment and kind of preparing for the next patient.
And did you attend to another patient at some point?
After a few minutes went by, I can't recollect exactly how long, a police officer from Brooklyn Park came by and said that we have another patient. And I said, well, where's this patient? And he directed me to the squad car that was about maybe 500 to 1,000 feet down the road.
Your Honor, at this point I would offer exhibits 58, 59, and 60.
58, 59, and 60.
Email that again. Where was we?
Your Honor, may we have a quick sidebar?
Yes.
She's like, Your Honor, we need a sidebar real quick. She's like, yo, these perks you sold me, they're just not kicking in. I just can't reach your level of mellowness. Tell me your secret. She boofs him. That's the secret. Never mind. Just never mind. Shout out to the 3 people watching on Twitch. I'm telling you, it's weird. It's weird having these low numbers. I don't know what's going on. I like everybody on Odyssey using the F word like they were just liberated from YouTube's wrath. There's no censorship in the chat. Odyssey's the place to be. What's up, Jersey Devil? Good Lord, Parabellum, boofing them bull balls. You're terrible. What was that, them Rocky Mountain oysters? You ain't supposed to boof those. Come on now. That's hilarious. What's up, Douglas? I appreciate you being here.
The objection is overruled.
So flash me the door. Show me your door, baby.
Numbers
Thank
again.
you so much, JD Howard, for joining the membership program, and welcome to the family. You're officially a hooligan.
Defense objections.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would publish Exhibit 58, please. We would ask that that be published to the jury. I don't have the control on my screen. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Johnson, you indicated that you did attend to another patient. Could you take a look at Exhibit 58, please, and describe for the jury what's shown here?
The officer opened the door and I saw a female. She was in tears and saw some blood coming from her mouth and also to the left side of her ear, and she was in handcuffs.
And was that individual later identified as Elena Albrecht Payton?
That's correct.
Did you observe injuries on her?
We observed, like I said, the bleeding from the lip and then also from the left ear.
And with respect to the ear or her lip, were there particular concerns that you had?
Yes, there were concerns. We don't know what happened. We didn't have much information, so we thought there's a possible head injury. She could have been shot. We don't know. And there was blood coming out of her ear.
And when you see blood coming out of the ear, is that a potential sign of a head injury or head trauma?
It was potential penetrating trauma, yes.
And could we put Exhibit 59 on the screen, please? So after you observed this individual, what did you do at that point?
We walked her straight to the ambulance and got her inside on the stretcher. And at that point, I had handed off care to my partner, Chelsea, and immediately started driving.
And you said you immediately started driving. I'm sorry, is that right?
Yes.
Where did you go?
We started transporting to North Memorial in Robbinsdale.
Did you ultimately take her to that hospital?
Yes, we did.
Could we put Exhibit 60 on the screen, please? And please describe for the jury what's pictured in Exhibit 60.
This is a North Memorial stabilization room. It's where we bring patients that have any type of significant trauma or medical emergency, and we have a team to take care of that patient and get them stable to whatever needs that they have, either surgery or CT or X-ray, etc.
So when you arrived at the hospital with your partner and this patient, did you hand off care at that point?
Yes, we did. We handed off care as soon as we arrived.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Is there anything else?
We have
You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That girl looks so rough.
The last witness. Members of the jury, we are going to start up at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So you should go to your places where you're supposed to meet up at 9 o'clock, all right? So we'll start at 10. I hope all of you have a really nice evening. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. 10 o'clock. So it'll be 11 Eastern time. It's going to be like a late start. All right. Did she say that was the last? I'll have to go through a replay. I don't know if that was the last witness or just the last one for the day. Not quite sure. See that lawyer grab the other lawyer's hand? They're real good friends.
An in-chambers conference concerning some exhibits. I have directed the state to look through the autopsy photos and eliminate any duplicates. I've also directed the state, if they want to show photographs where Dante Wright's eyes were open, that it would have to be cut off at the nose level. My reason for ruling that way is that it evokes the sympathy of the jury, and the jury is not supposed to be deciding this case based upon sympathy, passion, or anything of that sort. And then, Mr. Ng, you wanted to put your objections on the record?
Yes, I did. The defense has a concern about the presentation.
I think you need to use the microphone, so.
The judge having a good time. She don't even know what's going on.
Mr. Ng, because the court reporter is to the end of the day, and
She's like, it's your birthday? It's my birthday? Oh, happy birthday.
Presentation of the state's case. The issue in our case here is the thought process of Kimberly Potter at the moment that she yelled taser, 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 and pulled the trigger of her gun. We have spent the day, rather, on an accident that was caused by Dante Wright's excessive speed. We've heard from the elderly couple, the wife and the daughter, in very sympathetic testimony. And then we've spent an unending, it seems, amount of time on that aspect of the case without any time addressed to the gravamen of why we're here. There is a body of evidence that holds that where the state spends an inordinate amount of time presenting prejudicial evidence that has little relevance to the elements of the particular offense, that the defendant is prejudiced. I believe the federal case, the classic federal case, is Engelman, as I recall, E-N-G-L-E-M-A-N. I can get a site later for you. But that's our concern. And as I sat with Mr. Gray and watched this is the great advantage of being a second chair, in a sense. I didn't see any evidence directed towards the proof of guilt today, but rather evidence of sordid pictures and prejudicial impact that had little relevance. To the extent this is a Blakely issue, it still doesn't override, in terms of time and attention, what really matters in the case, which is whether the state can prove the elements of the offense. Therefore, I move for a mistrial.
Well, that's an interesting move.
As the court is aware, the state filed a Blakely notice, which is a notice that the state intends to seek a lengthier sentence based on factors in the particular case. We have alleged both Officer Potter's, and the reason I say Officer Potter is intentional there because she was an officer at the time, and her role as an officer was a violation, presented a violation of trust and authority. And we alleged that as one of the aggravating factors. The other is that her conduct presented danger to more than just the individuals in the immediate area. It presented a greater danger to a number of people. And the court and counsel for the defendant agreed that we would try the Blakely issues in a unitary trial and not a bifurcated trial. And so a lot of the evidence some of the evidence that we presented today was relevant to those Blakely factors. The injuries to the Lundgrens was not something we offered gratuitously or because we wanted to inconvenience the Lundgrens. Certainly, we offer that evidence because it is proof of that Blakely factor because of the danger to others. So that information was directly relevant to our case and had no objection at the time, only upon reflection later, apparently, that it was not good for them. The other matter, Your Honor, regarding the medical testimony, as you recall, the defense, Mr. Gray, filed a notice of defenses that included causation. And in public filings, Mr. Gray has challenged, essentially asserted that Mr. Wright caused his own death, that somehow he was responsible for the bullet that entered his chest and blew up his heart. And, Your Honor, We have heard arguments about that in chambers, and we have also heard arguments, as Mr. Eng just makes, that the injuries were caused by his excessive speed. Our theory of the case, of course, is that the conduct at issue, the elements of the offenses based on allegations of Ms. Potter's behavior that day were reckless. And that means a risk of harm. And the harm was not only to shooting Mr. Wright in the chest from 2 feet away, but also in a position to operate a motor vehicle, which then drove out of control, which is the exact danger that is one of the concerns that she had to be aware of, and caused a crash and harmed other people. It wasn't Mr. Wright's excessive speed, it was the fact that he was shot in the chest while he was in a position to operate the vehicle. So the defense has their theory of a case, we have ours. The death is an element of the offense, and so causation is always relevant to that element of the offense. And so we are also presenting what we feel is the necessary medical testimony to establish cause of death. And so, Your Honor, all of this evidence today was admissible and relevant to those issues. It certainly doesn't rise to the level of a mistrial that is a remedy I'm hearing for the first time when Mr. Eng argued. So we would ask the court to find that if this was some kind of post hoc objection, to overrule it and to deny any request for a mistrial, and let's get the trial moving.
Your Honor, I'd just like to respond to it. If that's the state's position, then I'm anticipating that in their final argument, they are going to argue Blakely issues to the jury about these other folks getting injured. If that's why he's introducing this evidence, the court has heard the evidence, and the court can decide the Blakely issues. But if he starts arguing this to the jury, it's objectionable just by what he said just now. Thank you.
All right. We're really getting ahead of ourselves right now. First of all, the motion for a mistrial is denied. With respect to Blakely, my understanding is that was going to be submitted to me for my decision. Am I incorrect on that?
No, that is correct.
Okay, the defense wants me to decide the Blakely issues. Okay, all right, we're going to start up at 10 o'clock. Okay, thank you, counsel.
Well, at least that was short-lived. Unlike the Kyle trial, where we waited days and days and days to see if they were going to mistrial it, she shut it down right there. Well, it is what it is. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I know we had some buffering and whatnot, but you know, it's part of the game. I really appreciate all of you. Big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership program, or purchased any merch. I appreciate you guys, and I wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you so much for being here. You guys are super awesome. If you're new, please subscribe or follow on whichever platform you're currently watching right now in order to be connected to my channel, help my channel grow, and potentially bring in new viewers to see what is happening around us. Sounds like 10 o'clock tomorrow, which is 11 a.m. Eastern time. We will be covering what's going on. I do have some running around I have to do, but I will try and keep an eye out for protesting. Yesterday was pretty cold. The protesters did come out, but it was very short-lived. It was like maybe 20 minutes of protesting. Pretty much people taking turns on the loudspeaker, standing in the street, but they wrapped it up. There was no way for me to get everything ready to cover it, which is why we didn't cover it yesterday, but we'll see how today goes. If we don't happen to find any action today, then I will see you guys tomorrow for another day at trial. Hopefully things will run smoother than they did today, because today ran a little smoother than it did yesterday. Hopefully I see all of you there to find out. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. If you haven't joined the Discord, please join the Discord. The Discord is the best way to be notified for when and where we go live, no matter where we go live. There's 3,700 hooligans in there to talk to, and we also have a news board so you can stay up to date with everything going on around the world. So please join the Discord. I'll probably hop in there for a couple minutes, but I really got to get ready to go. I will probably see you guys in the Discord later on tonight for some laughing and hooligan fun. You know, hooligans after dark and whatnot. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you more than I can say. So until the next live, stand tall, shine bright. That's a wrap.